It began in the dark, not the dramatic, existential kind of dark, just the simple, practical one. The kind that creeps in earlier each evening when the seasons turn, when the sky quietly decides it's done for the day while you still have a car full of parcels to deliver. I was on one of those rounds for Amazon, doing what had become a familiar rhythm. Drive, park, grab a parcel, balance it in one hand, sometimes resting it on my palm, sometimes pinched between my fingertips, while my other hand clutched my phone, blue light on my face as I hunted for the next drop-off point. Most door numbers were half visible, hidden in shadow, or faded with age, so I relied heavily on that little map on my screen to tell me where I was meant to go. I'd walk up to the door, knock or ring the bell, then take a small step back. It's a practice dance. Hold the parcel out, tilt the phone, start scrolling to see where I'm going next while I wait for the customer to arrive. The door opens. I look up just long enough to say, Amazon delivery for customer name. They reach out, take the parcel, and almost instantly fumble it. Sometimes they drop it outright. Sometimes they catch it at the last second with that awkward, startled expression that says, I did not expect that to be this heavy. The first few times it happened, I brushed it off as coincidence. People are distracted. Maybe they were thinking about something else. Maybe their grip just slipped. But it kept happening. Not once or twice, but enough times that I could no longer pretend it was random. Different streets, different houses, different people. Same pattern. Eventually, I realized the common factor wasn't them. It was me. They were seeing me stand there, casually holding this parcel in one hand, balanced on my palm, or dangling from my fingers as if it weighed almost nothing. Their brains did the rest. Without ever consciously deciding it, they read the scene and concluded, this must be light, because that's what light things look like when someone is holding them. So they reached out with the same casualness they saw in me. They didn't brace. They didn't use both hands. They didn't prepare their muscles for the real weight. Their bodies trusted their perception. And their perception was wrong. The parcel didn't change in that split second between my hand and theirs. The atoms, the mass, the pull of gravity, all of that was constant, indifferent, and precise. It weighed exactly what it weighed. What changed was the story about the weight. In my hand, it looked effortless. In their mind, effortless translated to light. And that small misreading was enough to make them act in a way that didn't match reality. The result was simple and physical. A fumble, a dropped box, a startled apology. But underneath that, something more was being revealed. I started to notice my own role in this misperception. The way I stood, the angle of my arm, the casual way I'd extend the parcel while half focused on my phone. Without meaning to, I was sending a signal. This is easy to hold. That signal became part of the environment the customer had to read. From their perspective, it wasn't irrational to assume what they assumed. In fact, it was completely reasonable. They trusted the information available to them. It just happened to be incomplete. Once that clicked, I changed how I worked. When I knew a parcel was heavy, I no longer held it casually in one hand. I cradled it more securely. I let my body show effort. I invited their caution before they even touched it, not with words, but with posture. I started handing parcels over differently because I understood something deeper than logistics or ergonomics. I understood that how we present a weight to someone else changes how they relate to it. And somewhere between those doorsteps it hit me. This is not just a quirk of parcel deliveries. This is a pattern of human behavior. The parcel is one thing, but what about burdens that are not wrapped in cardboard? I thought of a friend who once said to me, "You carry yourself so well." At the time, I didn't give it much weight. It sounded like a compliment you say and then move on from, but the memory kept returning. Because what does it mean to carry yourself well? Often it means you don't visibly show the full weight of what you're carrying. You move with steadiness. You don't dramatize your struggles. You maintain dignity, integrity, and a quiet kind of humility. From the outside, that can look like an easy life. It's the same illusion as the parcel balanced on my fingertips. If someone sees you moving through the world with composure, they may assume the load you are carrying is light. They don't usually consider that perhaps you are simply strong, or practiced, or stubborn, or so used to the weight that your body has learned to make it look ordinary. They might not imagine that your muscles ache when you are alone, that your breath is sometimes shallow, that your nights are not peaceful just because your days appear calm. The weight doesn't announce itself. The way you hold it does. And just like the customer at the door, people will often act from the story they perceive, not from the truth they cannot see. They might envy you. They might dismiss your struggles. They might be offended when you say you are tired because you don't seem like someone who has it hard. Or they might lean on you more, assuming you can handle their weight as well, because you look like someone who can carry everything without faltering. None of this makes them cruel or stupid. It makes them human. We are all reading signals all the time. We rely on appearances because we have to. But appearances are not reality. They are just hints, surface reflections, partial angles of a deeper structure. The universe itself is always exact. The parcel's weight is what it is. The life you have lived is precisely what it has been. In that sense, the systemic, physical, ideal reality is never wrong. The discrepancy only appears in human experience, in how we perceive, interpret, and then act on those interpretations. There is the world as it is, and then there is the world as it seems to us. And between those two, entire lives are played out. Sometimes that discrepancy is small and harmless, like a momentary fumble at a doorway. Sometimes it is not. We underestimate people and overestimate them based on how they carry themselves. We tell ourselves that someone who rarely complains must be fine. We assume that if they are still standing, they cannot be that weighed down. We forget that strength and suffering can coexist. That silence can be a survival strategy, not a sign of ease. Think of what happens when this kind of misperception scales. When it is not just one customer at a door misjudging one parcel, but entire communities misjudging entire groups of people. Those who carry generational trauma but show up to work every day. Those who face daily prejudice but still smile in the shop. Those who have been grinding for years behind the scenes but only get noticed when they finally collapse. From a distance, they may look like they are holding life lightly. Their apparent ease becomes a story we tell ourselves. If they are not visibly struggling, things must not be that bad. If they are still standing, the system must be fair enough. We trust that image more than we trust their quiet words. Reality hasn't changed, only our perception has. But our actions follow perception, not reality. We vote, speak, allocate resources, make judgments, all based on the weight we think they are carrying, not the weight they actually bear. And then there is the other side, the way we misperceive our own burdens. Sometimes we treat heavy things as if they were light. We say yes to more than we can hold because we imagine ourselves stronger than we are, or because we are used to seeing ourselves as the person who doesn't drop anything. We become like the customer taking the parcel one-handed, except this time we are both the giver and the receiver. We present the situation to ourselves as manageable. We grip casually. We tell ourselves we'll be fine. And then something in us buckles unexpectedly. Other times we treat light things as if they were impossibly heavy. We assume we cannot handle even a small challenge because our perception of our own strength has been worn down over time. We see ourselves as fragile when we are not. We misread our posture, our history, our capacity, and we act as though we're already defeated. In both cases, the core problem is the same. The map in our mind does not match the terrain under our feet. What makes the parcel story powerful to me is how simple it is. There is no deep moral failing anywhere in it. It's just a pattern. The world is what it is. A person shows up with their own strength, habits, and history. Another person reads what they see and fills it with assumptions. The actions that follow are entirely logical given those assumptions. And yet, what happens next can still be clumsy, painful, or unfair. Once I saw that clearly in something as mundane as a doorstep handover, I couldn't unsee it elsewhere. It made me reconsider what it means to carry oneself well. Perhaps there is a hidden cost to always appearing composed. If you never allow the weight you carry to be visible, people may never take the necessary precautions when they reach for you. They may not brace for the reality of your story. They may grab without care, not out of malice, but because you seemed fine, and then you end up paying twice. Once in the burden itself, and once in the misperception of that burden. It also made me think about the responsibility of the person who is holding the weight. Just as I chose to change how I handed over heavy parcels, letting my posture reveal the truth rather than conceal it, maybe there are times in life when we have to let the effort show, not in a performative way, not as a demand for pity, but as an act of honesty, as a way of bringing perception closer to reality so that interactions become more aligned, more humane. Because perception is not just something that happens to us. We participate in shaping it. How we speak about our lives, how we present our struggles, how we listen to others when they hint at theirs, all of this colors the shared picture we build of each other and of the world. We cannot eliminate misunderstanding, but we can choose to reduce the gap where we can. We can choose to take a breath before grabbing the parcel, so to speak, to consider that what looks light might be heavy, that what looks easy might be painstaking, that what looks effortless might be silently costing someone more than we realize. I still deliver parcels. I still work those evenings where the light disappears before I'm done. The routine is the same. Drive, park, knock, hand over. But now, each time I feel the pull of a heavy box against my fingers, I'm reminded of this quiet lesson. Reality is always exact. Weight is weight. What changes is the story we wrap around it. And so I try, in my small way, to live with a little more caution and a little more compassion, to be more deliberate in how I hand things to others, whether those things are physical boxes or pieces of myself, to be more attentive in how I receive what others offer me, assuming less from the way it looks in their hands, to remember that beneath every calm exterior there might be a carefully balanced load, held with a strength I do not see. Maybe wisdom isn't about having the right map once and for all. Maybe it's about constantly checking whether the way something appears matches the weight it actually carries. Maybe it's as simple and as difficult as learning to ask, before we act, whether we truly know what we're reaching for.